Okay, hi. Um, Welcome to This Reader's Life. My name is Stephanie. I'm glad that you're here. Welcome or welcome back, whichever the case may be. As always, if you enjoy this, please subscribe, like, follow. And today I'm doing something just a little bit different. I am because I have not done one yet like this, and that is I'm doing a tag, which is the I dare you tag. I understand that it's an older tag, and that I was tagged generically within book chat with Pat. She tagged anyone who was watching, so that's how I chose this. When I looked at the questions, I just decided I have to do it. So I will be wearing my eyeglasses for this one. They're reading glasses, so that I can see what I'm looking at, because there's quite a few questions here. It's 20 questions. So I'm going to get started, and some of these will take a couple seconds to answer, and some of them will take a little bit longer. But we'll just start with the first question, which is, what book has been on your shelf the longest? And there's a lot of different ways to look at that question. Do they mean read or unread, or are they talking about old books, or just books that I've had for a long time? But one that it's actually been in the same bookcase for a long, long time, and that is this one, which I'll show you. It is, I'm not sure how well it's going to translate on film, but it's The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by A. Conan Doyle, is how that reads. So it's Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and it was this book in particular. It's kind of neat. It has a person's name in the front of it that is J.W. Sherlock, which I think is kind of odd. It also says Hutchinson, Kansas, and again, I don't know if that will focus in on that, but I'll put it up there. And this particular book, it was in my grandmother's bookshelf when I was a kid, bookcase, and I ended up with the bookcase. I asked for it specifically, and it was left to me. And this is a super early copy. It was copyright 1892 by Harper and Brothers, and I believe it is either a first copy or a first copy second edition or second revision. Years ago, I had someone look at it, and I was told that it had some value, but I honestly, I don't think it's got extreme value. But anyway, that's the oldest book that I have, and truth be told, I've not read it. It's in good enough shape, certainly, to read, and I guess I could put that on my to-be reads, because I've just never read Sherlock Holmes at all. So that's one to think about. What is my current read, my last read, and the book I will read next? The very last thing that I read was Blue Like Jazz. It was by Donald Miller. It's a Christian book of essays. The thing I'm reading right now, and I'm very close to being finished with it, is A Month in the Country by J.L. Carr. And this book I'm enjoying so much. I hate to come to the end. I think I've got about 30 pages to go, but that's what I'm reading right now. And then the next thing that I will probably read will be probably two at the same time. Neuromancer, which is a science fiction book. So because I'm genre jumping this year, and so that's one that I'm reading. And the other one will probably be Buckeye, although I don't know for sure. It will be my book club. My reading group meets tomorrow, and we'll decide on a book, but it's my turn to choose, and I'm suggesting Buckeye, but it's always subject to change, so that could go a couple different ways. What book did everyone like but you hated? I didn't hate it. I don't think I've ever hated a book completely, and it was, thank goodness it was a short book, because I'd have never made it through it if it had been very long. But it's been, I think it was probably back in the 90s, and I'm trying to remember who wrote it, which I wrote it down here, but I'll come back to it, who wrote it. I think it was Waller, was the person's last name. And the book was The Bridges of Madison County. The Bridges of Madison County. It was a big bestseller. Again, I think maybe in the 1980s, could have been the 90s, but it started at my work when I was working. It passed from person to person, and each person signed their name in the front of the book as to when they read it. And everybody, it was a huge topic of conversation. Everybody loved it. And I did read it, and I did not. I didn't like it. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the setting. There was just nothing about that book that I liked. I don't know why. I guess it was a sweet story, but to me it just seemed like it was about a couple that had a stupid affair. That's where I came. That's what I came up with. But that was just me. So a lot of people really liked it. But that is one book that I just thought didn't like. The other one would be My Friends, and it has had wildly popular, and I didn't actually finish it, so maybe I shouldn't say I don't like it, but I didn't make it through it. So My Friends, Richard Bachman, not my book. What book do I keep telling myself I'll read, but I probably won't? Golly, there's a few, and I've avoided some books for years just because I'm pretty sure I won't like them. And one of those would be David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, which, to be real honest, I actually don't even know the story. I've never seen a movie. I don't know exactly what the book's about. I've got little bits and pieces. I get it confused with Oliver Twist, and I always tell myself you should read it. It's a classic. It seems like a shame to miss it. And I loved Great Expectations, but I'm probably never going to read David Copperfield. It's sort of a commitment, and it's just not on my list. So there's that one. What book are you saving for retirement? I don't think I've saved anything for retirement. I am retired, and because I wish I could literally read everything, or everything that I believe I'll like at the very least. I didn't save anything back. I didn't say, no, maybe I'll read that someday when I retire. Reading the Bible through from beginning to end, either chronologically or just book by book, chapter by chapter, has been a goal of mine, and it's something that I've started this year in my retirement. So maybe I will, maybe I could say I saved that for my retirement, because I do truly have the time now that I didn't have before. Next question, number 6. Last page, read it first or wait till the end? Oh my goodness. Always wait till the end. I don't think I've ever read the end of a book. I've given up on a book, and even then I don't read the end. It wouldn't be any fun anymore. It's kind of like peeking at your Christmas presents before Christmas. It takes all the joy out of the actual gift. And to me, a book is a gift. Acknowledgments, waste of paper and ink, or interesting aside. Well, acknowledgments. I don't think I used to read them as much as I read them now, and the reason is completely selfish and self-promoting, sort of. I have 2 friends who published books. One, her name is Maggie Wagner Meloan, and the other one is Darrell Poer. Both of them wrote books that I was acknowledged in, which was so much fun to read. Maggie called me, and we had worked together. She had been working on a book for a long time, and she asked me to edit it for her, just to be kind of a first read and edit through it. And I was thrilled to do it. She certainly acknowledges me in the beginning of the book, or in her acknowledgments, which was very, very satisfying. And then Darrell Poer is a gentleman that I worked with years and years ago. But through the years, we've kept sporadic track of each other, and we both always liked to write, and he was always threatening to write a novel, and he did. He wrote one that is called Lost Weekend in May, and it takes place in Indiana. It's sort of a coming of age novel. It's definitely an adventure novel, and he acknowledged me in that book, which was very special to me. So let's see here. Let's go down the line. Which book character would you switch places with? I had to think about this. Claire from the Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I adored that book. I adored the time that it was written in. I adored the Scottish Highlands. The first book. I read all of them, and actually I listened to all of them, and they were beautifully beautifully narrated. And that's who I would want to be, Claire. Plus, she had the love story of that century and others. So, because it was a time travel book. But what a great opportunity to be someone who gets to go back and forth through time and has a wonderful husband and lover, and who is smart and who is immune from all the crummy things prior to certain medications and antibiotics, based on the fact that you're traveling back and forth between modern and older times. I would like to be Claire. I can't think of anything. Well, she's gorgeous, so that helps too. But so anyway, that's the character I would switch places with. Would definitely be Claire Fraser. Number 9. Do you have a book that reminds you of something specific in your life? That I read when I was I believe it was in the 9th grade. We read it aloud, and it was springtime, and the book was Huckleberry Finn. And that was sort of just a magic time for me. I sort of fell into that book, and I couldn't wait to get to, it was a social studies class, Huckleberry Finn. I felt like I was on that raft floating down the Mississippi, and I thought I was immersed. I love that feeling. So it really takes me back to those junior high, I think it was 9th grade. And so I was still in at that time. We went to junior high through 9th grade. So that's the book that comes to mind, and the feeling that I get when I think about that time in my life. It's kind of neat. Name a book that you acquired in an interesting way. We went to an auction. It was of my great grandmother's things, and I remember that my dad let me bid on a box, and it had a few books in it, and it had a few other things that I believe had been my grandma's, but it may have been a mixed auction with other people's belongings. But this is what was in the box, and then I'm not sure when it was published, it was in the 1800s at some point, and it's in horrible condition. It's in pieces. But this book came home with us that day, took it out of the box. My mom put it on her end table, and it sat on her end table until I got married, and it came with me. So that's how I acquired that book. And I may have skipped something. Hold on, I'm looking here. No. Number 11, have you ever given a book away for a special reason to a special person? And my first thought is I don't remember, so I'm guessing that I haven't. I don't remember buying a lot of gifts that were books. Number 12 is, which book has been with you most places? Well, my Kindle Amazon Fire has the most books on it, and it goes with me almost everywhere that I ever go. So any vacation, anytime I go anywhere, it's been known to go, if we're driving and we're going to be in the car for an hour or so, it goes with me. So it's not a specific book, but whatever I'm reading at the time gets read during that time. So it's lots of books, and technology in this case is my friend. So number 13, any required reading you hated in high school that wasn't so bad 2 years later? Well, we had to read, I believe it was my junior year of high school, and we had to read The Catcher in the Rye, and then we had to choose another book that we could do like a compare and contrast to, and we were given a list of choices. The thing that I remember is one of the choices that we could read along with The Catcher in the Rye was Then, This Is Now by S.E. Hinton, and I did not choose it. The book that I did choose was The Carr Thief by I think it's Theodore Weesner, and I didn't like that book. I didn't want to read it, and to be real honest, I've never gone back and read it, but looking back on it now, I think it was probably deeper than I realized, and that I just needed to get through it so that I could write the paper, and so I didn't enjoy it. It was written in 1972, and I was a junior in high school around 77. And I liked The Catcher in the Rye when I read it, but even that I was a little, I never liked to be told that I had to read something because I read so much for enjoyment already. So there's that. Number 14, used or brand new? Well, both, but almost all of my books are used. Almost always I used to go to Half Price Books a lot. And then also there was a place locally in Kansas City, in the Kansas City suburbs and in Kansas City, Missouri, that was called Rainy Day Books. And they had a wonderful trade where they gave you, I think it was half of what the paperback price was, and then they gave that, and that was a credit. You would get that credit, so you could trade books. I loved trading books there, and I know that most of the locations are out of business, but it may still be around. It might still be down on the Plaza, which is a shopping area in Kansas City. Have you ever read a Dan Brown book? Well, I have. I read The Da Vinci Code, and I read Angels and Demons, and I read The Da Vinci Code just because they were making such a big deal about it. And so, yeah, I've read a Dan Brown book. I don't read him specifically, or I don't wait for his, latest books or anything. Have you ever seen a movie you liked better than the book? Not very many. One that I think I liked, and this was not, it was a bestseller, and I did like the movie possibly more than the book, and that was the movie The Horse Whisperer, which had Robert Redford, Kirsten Scott Thomas, and a very young Scarlett Johansson, and she was amazing in that movie. She was a wonderful young actress, and I went to see, it's one of the few movies in my entire life that I've ever gone to see completely alone because I really, really wanted to see the movie. And at the very beginning, there's a beautiful scene in the snow with a little girl walking out all by herself. And that's where I started crying in the movie, and I didn't stop until the movie was over. I thought it was very beautifully done. And I enjoyed the book as well, but I liked the ending of the movie better than the ending of the book. Have you ever read a book that's made you hungry, cookbooks included? I don't think so. When I read that question, a illustration comes to my mind from the book A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett, and it is where she is looking in the window of a bakery, and when she's called in, or she goes in to stay warm, and the woman there, the baker lady there, gives her, I think, a couple of muffins, or maybe it's just one muffin, and that it's warm and it's delicious to her, and it, in a way, that makes me hungry. It makes me hungry now, but anyway, who is the person whose book advice you'll always take? There are two women in my reading group, and I like their advice. I've read a lot of books on their recommendation, and I've enjoyed them a lot. One of them is named Cindy, the other is named Maudie, and both of them, their recommendations are important to me. I trust them. And prior to that, it would have been my mother. She worked for the library system in Johnson County, Kansas for, 30 years. And she brought a lot of books home. Even after my kids were born, she brought home books that she recommended for my kids and that I read to the kids. One of them that I think of, and I don't know who wrote it, but it was written and illustrated by a husband and wife couple, I think, and it was called King Bid Goods in the Bathtub. I loved that book for my kids. I don't know if they liked it as much as I liked it, but I absolutely loved it. And is there a book out of your comfort zone, out of your usual reading genre, that you ended up loving? And there are not very many, but I don't read out of my genre very much, which is something I'm trying to change. So I will say The Ministry of Time, which was science fiction romance, I was very surprised at how much I liked it. It was written by Kaylee Ann Bradley, and I think it may have been a debut novel, And I thought everything about that book was fun. It was a hoot. I had a good time reading it. And it was time travel and science fiction kind of all rolled into one. And one of my favorite books. I really, really enjoyed that one. So there's that. I cannot think of another one that was outside of my genre that I really, really loved. I don't think that there is one. So the very last question on here is not a question. It says tag people. And I will tag some people below. I will say I was tagged generically, which was because I'm not tagged, have not been tagged in the past. I was excited when someone said that because it gave me an excuse or a reason to go ahead and do a tag, and I loved the questions on this one. So I will tag some people below, and I would also invite anyone who gets to listen to this and hears it to feel free to consider yourself tagged by me. It's This Reader's Life, and so that's it for this one. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I had a lot of fun thinking about some old times that brought back some cool memories. So until I'll probably put this one out there tomorrow, which will be Tuesday the 20th, and then the next one should be Saturday. I'm trying to post put 2 out per week, and I'm excited about that. So that's this one. Y'all have a good week. Remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and be kind to the planet. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.